President. Well, happy anniversary. 1 year that this government has now refused to provide the sustainability framework. 1 year that this government has continued to hide behind the most ridiculous excuses that are now actually completely expired, because we did see the pass of the NDIS legislation during the last sitting period. And we've heard again today Minister Farrell having to come in and say that they will not release the sustainability framework because they believe it may jeopardise their relationships with the states. Well, let me give you a little bit of an overview of what your relationship with the states is now. During the NDIS bill, whilst we were in the committee stage, and we had 5.5 days of hearings, very generously allowed by the government, absolutely pathetic. And the fact that they keep quoting the review, yeah, the review's been handed down, but no government response to it, no government response to the review of the NDIS. But the states were crying out for the legislation to be put on hold because they don't know what they're expected to do. They don't know what foundational supports are, and they don't know what they're expected to provide to those people who will no longer be eligible for the NDIS. So I would suggest there's been some damage to the states. Now, this has also probably been compounded, just a guess, probably compounded by one of the amendments that we put through that the government asked to be supported, was that Category A supports would no longer require unanimous supports of the states, just majority support of the states. So states will now be at a higher risk of being bulldozed by the Commonwealth Government to produce and provide foundational supports that they have no concept of what they are, how much they're going to cost and what they're required to do. So it is an absolute furphy that this government continues to hide behind in its reluctance to reveal the financial sustainability model that they say they are working to. And I know Senator Steele-John talked about the autism community, and I'm going to talk about it too a little bit today because we might have some different views here. And I want to apologise to those in the autism community who have young children, so the parents and carers in particular, who have young children diagnosed with autism level 3 before the DSM-5 made almost every condition part of the autism spectrum, kids that would have been diagnosed with classic autism, kids also have an intellectual disability, who are having their plans cut in the most dramatic of ways. It is absolutely appalling. This is an insurance scheme. The whole thing about an insurance scheme is investing early and getting better outcomes. Yet we are seeing ideologically driven, anti-intensive, good quality early intervention refused to be paid for by the NDIA, by the NDIS, who are now stipulating they won't fund programs at particular clinics, particular services. I mean, this is absolutely outrageous. But I would like to congratulate particularly those self-diagnosed autistic adults or the later in life diagnosed autistic adults, diagnosed in their 40s, 50s, 60s, who many of them, and we saw them during the Autism Senate Select Committee, have had long careers. A lot of them were university professors in particular areas of interest. One of the traits of autism is having a very strong focus in a particular area. But people who were in relationships, had families, owned property, with zero acknowledgement of the impacts that profound autism has on some people and their inability, that their disability is significant. Their disability will impair their way of life. But I just want to say well done to those autistic adults who've gone out on the autism is awesome bandwagon because they're diagnosed later in life, that kids don't need intensive early intervention, that applied behaviour analysis, which is seen worldwide as best practice, is demonised in this country because these autistic adults have said autism is awesome and they don't need this therapy. Well, you are now putting at risk and jeopardy a whole generation of young children with profound autism and intellectual disability from achieving their potential because you've done what you wanted to do and you've demonised intensive early intervention, so the NDIS isn't funding it now. So on one hand, we've got these parent groups out there with self-diagnosed parents attacking people like myself and Nicole Rogerson, who refer to us as clearly autistic, rich white women. Well, I can tell you I'm white, I can tell you I'm a woman, I'm certainly not rich, and the fact that they refer to me as clearly autistic, I don't know, maybe I am. Maybe I should go get a diagnosis so I can stand here as an autistic person and go, kids with profound autism need intensive early intervention, and they should be funded properly. And the autistic adults who have demonised this early intervention, you've fed into the government's hands.